So this meeting order is 10 a.m. and roll call, sir.
Yes, Commissioner Wilkinson.
Okay.
Commissioner Gallagher, Commissioner Mullins.
And
there's quorum present.
Yes, and he's on the way back from St. Louis, and he may arrive during the meeting. We'll just have to see. Okay, okay, let's go back and stand, please, for pledge and invocation as you desire. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Heavenly Father, we ask your presence in the meeting as we do the business of the county. Bless us all, bless us individually, and just watch over and guide us. In Jesus' name we ask it.
Thank you. The consent agenda is last week's regular minutes, the minutes of the regular meeting, certificate of training for the auditor and the public administrator, the monthly report for the county clerk, and then appointments for assistant prosecuting attorney and the victim advocate of the prosecuting attorney's office. Motion?
I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
And I second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, table agenda item. We're going to have Judge Ann Kallis come up and talk to us about the questions that were raised last week regarding the opioid litigation.
Is this for me, or
yes.
I don't think I need that.
Oh, we need this for we're recording.
Oh, okay. All right, I think Jack gave a good presentation on what the lawsuit would entail. He does represent 20 plus Missouri counties, and he also cleared up that the fee would be 20% of the net after costs, because he said that's what he presented, and he's going to stick to his word. So if there are any further questions, I found out beforehand that you have a pretty good or very good infrastructure in place already as to if and when there is a settlement, how those proceeds will be distributed throughout this county and the needs of this county. You do have, I did some research before the last meeting, a very horrific opioid epidemic in St. Francis County. I've seen this over and over again throughout the counties that I've traveled to in Missouri and in Illinois.
I think our distribution, I will say legal distribution, was the highest of any of the counties in the whole maybe southeast part of the state.
Yeah, it's very high. I know it was higher than the actual prescriptions. The CDC will do their stats based yearly on prescription rate, and they monitor that per 100 people, and I know it's been higher than the people in the county. So that's extraordinarily high.
Okay, let's assume there's a settlement, and it's among these 20 plus counties. Then the distribution of that will be based on the cost that the counties incurred individually, and I guess that would be a percentage basically.
Well, the model's still in creation. This lawsuit's been going on for a long time. As I said before, nothing happens in a vacuum. This is a national problem, and national lawsuits are proceeding. And a formula is going to be developed that we can replicate on prescription rate, on death rate, on overdose deaths, into how the money is actually distributed, or the amount is distributed. It's all based generally on to abate the public nuisance. The opioid crisis created a public nuisance to your county and to the people in your county.
Now that is how the settlement amount is distributed to the individual counties. Now the county distribution to the ultimate ends of this will try to recover the cost of the Sheriff's Department and other departments and those costs. But then hopefully there'll be a great deal left over for prevention care.
Sure, and it also, that I mentioned the last time, is injunctive relief. To get these multi-billion, multinational corporations, stop what you're doing. Stop addicting the people in this county and the people in this nation. And that's a part of the damage model.
Last week I didn't have confirmation on what I thought was true, and it turns out that Jack backed me up on it. The commission will be in charge of distribution of the funds. And traditionally, or typically, the commission either goes to the Sheriff's Department or the Health Department to distribute these funds and to find that method of distribution. As it happens, many months ago, our health department set up a consortium of basically the state agencies, the local agencies, the sheriff's department institutions, commissions involved, I'm involved with it, and doctors, nurses, pharmacies, local people. And the idea of this is to coordinate this and to minimize red tape, and so that the various agencies can work together, they can find the grants and all that stuff. And they've really worked on this. And I've got minutes of the last meeting, and it's amazing. I think here, they have roundtable discussions at this meeting. And at the last meeting, they discussed how to increase access to Narcan in populations at risk for overdose. And in this, they worked up a list of people that will work toward this, a time deadline on it. The next topic was prevent misuse of opioid substance by reducing access. And then again, they have objectives on how to do this and who's going to do it and the time frame. And it's just topic after topic they worked on in that one meeting.
Yeah, that's amazing to me. It seems to be ahead of the game. I do want to mention, we have a lawsuit to go through, so let's not put the cart before the horse.
Right.
I know you want to talk about money because that's part of what this commission does, but we have a fight on our hands, and then we'll see what happens. Also, if there is a settlement, there has been talk about what the formula exactly would be, but the end result of that, I do not know yet. I can tell you though, between Jack and I, we will constantly keep the commission and the citizens updated of what happens throughout the term of this lawsuit. It's a Herculean task, and it's a huge lawsuit. One of the biggest I've ever been involved in. Okay?
Any questions? Any topics? Okay.
All right, wow, that was good, thanks.
Okay, with that in mind, I'd like to ask for authority to enter into this litigation. We tabled this last week, and to that firm, and there's the basic topics of it. And there is again, I put it out on the table because we didn't act on it last week, is the resolution, the 3 pages of whereas that you're welcome to read. So entertain for a motion.
I move that we enter into an agreement with Carey Danis Lowe for the purpose of recovery for expenses in the opioid.
Okay, I second that. Are any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Do you have to have a roll call for this?
They would.
Yeah, I would do that. Commissioner Wilkinson.
Aye.
Commissioner Eller.
Aye.
Okay, a 2-0 vote, you have approved the motion.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I have no question, no problem. Okay, now the regular business, we're gonna talk about a bid award for the self-contract.
Yes.
When's
Lake Oakland, St. Francis County Road and Bridge. These were the annual bids for our salt that was rebid due to the specifications not being specific enough. And we received those bids, and we went with the lowest price bidder, which is a local company out of St. Louis, Lang Stegman, and they had the lowest per ton amount, and we would like to award that to them.
And a history of good service.
Excellent service. We've been with them for many years, and just coincidentally, they were the lowest bid anyway, so we
Any,
recommend that.
motion?
On the recommendation of the highway superintendent, I move that we enter into the contract for this purpose of purchasing salt.
Okay, and I second that. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, okay.
Next, probably bid award for paving projects.
So it was pepper after the salt.
I knew that. Road salt, road salt.
Yes, at last week's meeting, we opened the bids from the 4 different contractors for our paving projects for upcoming year. We are going to be paving approximately 12 miles of roads. Not every road that we have to overlay is ready for overlay, but we have reviewed the bids, and I would like to award 3 of those road projects today. We went with the lowest bidder, not only on per ton price, but overall project cost. They were the lowest in both areas of the bids, and that's to Lead Belt Materials,
And the 3 projects that we want to award, all 3 of these, we would recommend to award all 3 of these to Lead Belt Materials, is for 1.4 miles of Cedar Run Road from Cedar Falls Road to Hillsboro. 2.3 miles of Rugley Road. It was actually a road that we had ready last year, and just the weather didn't permit us to finish that road, to Lead Belt Materials. And then also 0.2 miles, 0.2 of a mile on Busick Road, which was a project in which we elevated the roadway, did some major excavation through last fall and let it set all winter, and we just want to overlay the gravel portion of Busick Road. And I have totals if you need them or anyone wants to look at the total project cost. But we really always keep in mind we go by ton price, because sometimes the tonnage goes over depending on what work needs to be done as we're laying the road.
Estimated time.
Yes, yes.
Is that your recommendation, we accept this?
Yes, recommendation that we accept these 3 bids from Lead Belt Materials for these 3 road projects. Now our other 5, we will award throughout the year as they become ready and as we are ready for them to overlay. Now, once we award these, they have a 90-day window in which to finish this project. So we will probably be, well, we will be awarding the other projects throughout the summer. Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of the highway superintendent and enter a contract with Lead Belt for the paving of these 3 roads.
And I second that. Any questions?
On this, you pointed out last week that the reason the other ones you can wait on is because they're tied to the indices of the oil prices at
Correct.
that time. So we can award those at any time because they're prepared to be bid out as needed rather than at a set date.
And all bids that we received were based on what the indices is right now, what the oil index is now.
Okay.
So it changes every month. Every month they put out a new index, and then the price of your asphalt could change. We know that, they know that, and we'll
I
award
might
it.
make a comment, Ed. As you're saying too,
Do I have, okay, go ahead.
we're not ready for some of these roads that we plan to do. I mean, there's a lot of ditching,
Correct.
culvert pipes, widening if you can, preparing it, trimming trees so the trucks can go. There's a lot to do before you can even do it. So if we don't award those later ones now, then we wouldn't be ready in time for them to do that. So we'll
Right.
let that as we're ready.
But our decisions will be based off of the bids that we received last week. Still project bids, and we'll hold them good to that, and that's, the prices will go
Now,
up.
I didn't get a motion yet.
Yes.
Yes, you did. You're in the discussion phase.
Okay, discussion. Okay, no other topics or discussion? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, we have an appointment to the IDA board position. Anna Kleiner has resigned, and the board recommends Mr. William Cotton of Bonterra for that position replacement. And this term will expire late this year, and I think it's a year end, I wasn't sure of that. So Mr. Cotton is banker, and his expertise in this field will be helpful as the bank shares some of the loans. Motion?
I move that we appoint Mr. William Cotton to the position of IDA board, county IDA board, as requested.
Okay, I second that. Any questions? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, aye. Next regular meeting, it's close to a short meeting then. Right here next week. And other business correspondence, I don't have anything. No. Public comment. Departmental reports.
Just one from ours, we got the election central moved last week. They're putting everything together. The first 3 offices are complete, and then we've got storage rooms that have got a lot of stuff in there that we're slowly taking out, but it's coming together very well, and they did a great job. And our maintenance people did a great job in moving a lot of that. They're working downstairs today, but sometime in the next week they will be clearing out this area and building the office for the new human resource
They're
person.
putting floor in the recorder's office now. And 2-3 years ago, nobody here touched the floor. We had to hire all that done. But now these guys are very fluent in full floor replacement.
And I don't think you brought this up, but over the holiday that we had last week, they came in there and insulated the walls on that whole area, and we did that internally. At the same time, they waxed all the floors. The maintenance were done on them. They did a great job, but They had drill holes in, and go patch over it and paint over it, and they did a great job and blown in that insulation, so we appreciate
There
it.
are some days you can unmeet in that room, I think, and we're getting some nods back there, so it's much better now. They've added a door and a walkway and really stopped the air influx there, so it's really good. Okay, we appreciate, any other departmental reports? Adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And then you got target therapy. That's exciting. Anybody? Chemo goes for fast growing cells, and it kills all fast growing